6 months ago. There isn't any information coming down, filtering down to the southern part of the state about Northern Pass. I can tell you that I only learned about the wind turbine issue only 2 months ago. And I can tell you for certain that there's nobody in the southern part of the state among the general population that really is familiar with the wind turbine issue. Yet, at the same time, we have many people in the Manchester, Nashua, and Concord area who depend on who love and enjoy, and who are very deeply rooted to the northern and western parts of the state. Many of them have relatives who live in that part of the state or have come from that part of the state. Many of them depend on the tourism dollars that come from that part of the state. To assume that somehow there's a disconnect between the southern part of the state and the northern part of the state, I think is extremely incorrect. And I resent that the last time I was at the House hearing, the only voice from the South was the Manchester Chamber of Commerce. And I want to let you know that there are many other voices in the southern part of the state who are not represented by the Manchester Chamber of Commerce. As an activist in poverty issues in the 90s, I can also tell you with confidence, in my experience, that when something happens in the northern and western part of the state, the southern parts of the larger urban areas in the state will get the fallout. When jobs are lost in the western and northern region of the state, it's our dollars that will have to take care of those people that come and migrate down to us. When the Berlin paper mills closed, when all the other economic things shut down, we suffer their sufferings as well. And that needs to be considered. We are not disconnected. We're all together. We have to look at the state as a whole. Yep. In addition, the Manchester Airport, which has grown and continues to grow exponentially, as many of you are familiar with, and I'm sure you're proud of. Many of the people that come through the Manchester Airport, and I'm familiar because I travel a lot, many of them come to enjoy the nature tourism that we offer in this state, with the beautiful and pristine vistas of the mountains and the famous White Mountains. We need to be very careful. That is our national treasure, and it's also our national treasury and our state treasury. And I very urge you all to consider that Manchester, Nashua, and those areas have a lot at stake as well, and those people in those areas have a lot at stake as well with this. And I urge you to support the moratorium so I and others have an opportunity to allow the people to take part in the process of being more informed and to be able to also engage in the green energy discussions that are going on. I'm sure the Concord, Manchester, and Nashua individuals would like to be able to take part in becoming more of a part of developing green energy alternatives and conservation. And I know that they're not a part of that discussion, and we need to get that going. And we need to do it now, and we need time to do that. The industry has full-time people working on their behalf, but organizers like myself work on a part-time basis, and we need time. That's all. Thank you.
Anyone else wishes to take 1 minute?
Yes, Sean Frost, Selectman-elect Grafton, New Hampshire. I just wish to speak to bring you a message. Our town voted against the proposed wind farm in our area, 366 to 160. That's about a 2 1/4 to 1 ratio. The message that I bring to you is the communities that elect you are not in favor of this dumping ground that seems to be happening in this area with renewable energies. So therefore I'm here to support this bill. I also encourage you to think about the process of the SEC committee. And talking with the people in my town, I'm very upset with the fact that the state has the right to preempt anything that the town votes on like this. They're very discouraged about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak? Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Cheryl Lewis, and I'm an intervener in the Groton Wind Project. I ask you to support SB 99 for a number of reasons, but most specifically because the SEC process needs to be revamped before any new energy projects are approved. As an active participant throughout the entire SEC process for Groton Wind, I was dismayed to learn the attorneys representing Iberdrola, the wind developer, had previously sat on this site evaluation committee. In fact, one of the attorneys, Douglas Patch, who's here today, had been the chairman of the SEC. Even more troubling is the fact that Thomas Getz, who was the chairman of the SEC during the recent Groton Wind project has left state employment, is now in private practice, and now represents wind developers. It appears to us that this is quite a biased process when the wind developer has an upper hand over all the interveners and everybody else that's involved in this process, including the municipalities. If you check the SEC website, you will find that all the wind developers are now being represented by former SEC members. We believe this is a clear conflict of interest. And without a moratorium, this significant conflict of interest will continue today and through the rest of the year. As the other Groton Wind interveners today have already mentioned, there are real problems going on with Groton Wind. I won't repeat those, but what I do ask is I would urge you, if there's not a vote today on this bill, that you spend time looking on the SEC website. You look up the Groton Wind transcripts for their final day of deliberations, which is April 11th. I think you may be surprised at what actually takes place in these SEC deliberations. Secondly, I would also urge you to read the 2013 issues, which are currently taking place with Groton Wind. And I think you'll also be surprised to learn how the SEC is handling the oversight and enforcements of some clear violations which have taken place. And finally, with all due respect, Senator Odell, I know that you're from the town of Leominster, and I recognize that many of the residents there have had a very positive experience with the wind farm and Iberdrola as well, but I can assure you that does not happen everywhere. And I ask you to take that into consideration, that just because your experience has been a good one does not mean that that's going to be the continuation for all these other projects that may take place in the state in the future. That there are some real issues that need to be addressed prior to going forward with any others. So again, I ask you to support SB 99 and to hold off on allowing any new projects until the SEC can have fresh guidelines, have oversight, and have accountability. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for your time. Anyone else wish to speak?
Talk about something that actually hasn't been talked about yet.
Good, thank you.
Okay, my name is Bill Polio, and my experience is in mortgage origination. I've been doing it for the past 25 years. I'm very concerned about the effect of a large transmission facility that abuts, is visible, or has a utility right-of-way on property that has a mortgage or is to be mortgaged. To protect investors and financial institutions, the banking industry has undergone and is continuing to undergo regulations to eliminate the likelihood of loans going into default and the risk of loss to investors. Underwriting standards require the evaluation of a borrower's